My Lords, it's a pleasure to follow the noble Earl Attlee. I speak from a Sikh perspective, and my apologies if what I say is out of sync with today's 19th and 20th century power bloc politics. Sikh teachings on the prevention of conflict almost parallel the preamble to the UN Declaration of Human Rights, formulated after the horror of the Second World War, and stress the dignity and equality of all members of our one human family, and legitimize the use of force only as a last resource when all other means have failed. My Lords, I believe that we and other great powers have pushed the Declaration, the key to true peace and security, to one side in our pursuit of supposed national interests, using smaller countries as pawns in power bloc politics. The conflict in Syria is a case study on the futility and cruel effect of such policies on innocent lives. Following his election, US President Donald Trump made clear his desire to withdraw from international conflicts. Anxious to preserve our special relationship with the USA, our Prime Minister dutifully echoed, "We will have to stop being the world's policeman." A few weeks back, President Trump made clear his desire to extricate the US from the conflict in Syria, and was expected to do so with an impressive military flourish. We're then expected to believe that President Assad, having secured control of much of the country, suddenly decides to launch a chemical attack on a children's hospital. It could be true, but it sounds implausible. But it did give the US President an opportunity to withdraw from the conflict, flourishing his military might. France and Britain dutifully backed him in a combined military strike against Assad, and President Trump predictably tweeted, "Mission accomplished." It's sad that our PM should feel duty-bound to back military action prior to any investigation. I thought it was only in Alice in Wonderland that we had the saying, "Sentence first, verdict after." My Lords, I find the propaganda in government statements and in the media to justify media action morally questionable and sometimes hypocritical. We've grown used to the convention of calling countries we don't like regimes. Now, to justify action and our intervention, President Assad is widely referred to as a monster. Our PM was rightfully said that the conflict in Syria can only be ended through negotiations, and it doesn't help negotiations to call someone a monster. I agree that Assad is no angel, and like many leaders we have propped up in the Middle East, a brutal dictator. But we should always also remember that his troubles began when, on humanitarian grounds, he let in nearly 1 million Sunni Muslims from the earlier conflict in Iraq. Now we're being told that the strike against him was on humanitarian grounds. Are we really saying that it's morally okay to kill and maim the people of Syria with bombs, bullets and missiles, but somehow more morally wrong to do so with chemical weapons? I think our Prime Minister was more honest but wrong when, as justification, she said that the action was in Britain's national interest. My Lords, the conflict in Syria is also in Iran's national and strategic interest, and in that of the USA, Russia, Israel, Turkey, and Saudi Arabia, and other global players, including ISIS, anxious to have a so-called strategic presence in the Middle East, regardless of the horrendous consequences suffered by innocents. In the quagmire of the Middle East, in trying to punish Assad, we have also helped ISIS in their beheadings and amputations, not only of the people of Syria, but of even innocent aid workers. My lords, I'm saddened by the hypocrisy of our government and that of the USA and France, who, while wringing their hands about the monster Assad's supposed chemical weapon attack on little children, have all in the last 2 or 3 weeks signed billion-dollar deals with Saudi Arabia to export arms for use in the Yemen, for Saudi Arabia to strut its military might in the Middle East with its continuing bombing of men, women and little children in the Yemen. My lords, such displays of machiness were the norm in the 19th and 20th centuries, leading to 2 world wars and countless other conflicts in the pursuit of national or strategic interest and in the continuing death of millions. An important aspect of strategic interest is trade. Important, but trade should never trump human rights. I was appalled when a government minister openly said that when we talk trade with China, we should not raise issues of human rights. The same sentiments have been raised by government officials in the sale of weapons to Saudi Arabia to destroy lives in Yemen. It is not only the West that has lost its moral direction. The same immoral policies are being pursued by Russia, China, and others. 80% of the arms and weaponry flooding the world today, helping countless conflicts, are supplied by members of the so-called Security Council. The whole concept of supposed strategic interest has over the centuries been shown to be deeply flawed and a recipe for continuing conflict. A Christian hymn reminds us, "They enslave their children's children who compromise with sin." It's a truth echoed in Sikh teachings and in the UN Declaration of Human Rights. The only strategic interest worth pursuing is respect for human rights and social justice for all and for our future generations in a highly interdependent world.
My Lords, this has been yet another